What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show here on Sherdog.com. And today I am looking ahead to One Championship's next card, which is 1159. The main event sees the light heavyweight title up for grabs with Reinier the Ritter back again against Vitaly, Bigdash, and what's a very good fight. And there's actually three really good MMA fights atop this card, which has a bit of MMA and a bit of kickboxing mixed in, as One Championship cards usually do these days. So there's some really good talent here, really good grappling talent, really good wrestling talent, and obviously a lot of kickboxing talent as well. But the kickboxing fights mixed in with some really good grappling in the mixed martial arts as well make it there's something there for everyone. So that's really good. Let me just quickly run through the card itself, and as you know, the MMA guy here, I'll concentrate on the top three MMA fights. So obviously the main event I will get to towards the latter half of this video. The Ritter versus Bigdash. Then we have the interim atomweight Muay Thai World Championship fight. You can see all of this up on onefc.com. Obviously, it's Jeanette Todd versus Lara Fernandez. There's a strawweight fight in between Hiroba Minowa and Bokang there. The bantamweight Muay Thai fight in Sanchai. Obviously, everyone knows him. Even me, the guy who is the aficionado on kickboxing or Muay Thai knows Sanchai. So that's always going to be fun there. He's fighting Vladimir Kuzmin. And then there's a strawweight kickboxing matchup as well. Jing Pine Man against Alasanbek Zirkev. Strawweight mixed martial arts fight, which I will get to. Daniel Williams is transitioning over to MMA from kickboxing, or having an MMA fight anyway. He's had a few before, and I'll get to him in a second. He's fighting Zelang. Then in the lead card coming into it, there is some more Muay Thai. So a featherweight fight, Natu against Jamal Yusupov. We have Clinme versus Liam Nolan from the UK. And then a few more MMA fights with Ariel, Sexton, Gafurov, which I will get to. Vladimir de Silva versus Jin Tae-ho. Leah Bivins, then, who is from the United States as well, against Zeba, Bano. So that's the full card there for the One Championship 159. And let me get a little bit further into some of the MMA fights there. So there are, up on Sherdog.com here, on Sherdog.com even, there are 6 MMA fights scheduled. Leah Bivins is making her pro debut. She's taking on Zeba Bano here, who is 6-1. If you look at her record, 5 of those 6 wins have come inside the distance, 4 by KO. She lost her last one out via armbar at 157, but before that she was on a really good win of 4 KOs in a row. So she'll be coming back here taking on Bivins in her One Championship debut. Also debuting as a mixed martial arts fighter is Mikhail, Jamal, Abdul-Latif. He's taking on Anderson Silva, who, you know, not that Anderson Silva, another Anderson Silva who we've seen around the place before. He fought in the last One Championship card. He's running on a few others as well. Obviously, he lost to Buchecha at that time out. People might remember that back in 2021. So he'll be looking to get a win here as well. He's been fighting for a good while, not fighting that often, but he was 3 years out before that fight in 2021. So he'll be back in here and looking to get the win there against the debutant. Then we have Taeho Jin against Vladimir de Silva Barbosa. If you look at Jin's record, 9-6, 6 decision losses, so he's not getting finished in there. He is 3 decision wins and 6 inside the distance. But that record's a little bit deceiving because he's won his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row. So starting off his career, he lost 3 of his first 4, he lost 4 of his first 6, and then lost 2 more fights coming up there as well. But it's been a great run since that came in and won by Kimura in the first round of his One Championship debut in April of this year. So he'll be looking to move on and go forward here as well. Obviously, a guy who's changed his career around. He's fighting Vladimir de Silva Barbosa, who is 8-2 in his career now. Lost his last one out, but was in a 4-5 win streak before that, all by finish. So his last fight was his One Championship debut as well. So, that one is two finishers there. He's won all 8 of his wins, has Barbosa inside the distance, all by KO. So that'll be a very interesting one to look at there, and there'll probably be a big finish on that. And then we get to the top 3 fights. And do you know what? I really like these top 3 fights. I went back and watched a good bit of both of them, preparing for this. Well, I should say as well, the 3 fights I concentrated on. There's another fight as well. Don't let me miss it. There's actually 7 fights here. Koha Minowa against Bokang Masunyane. Minowa is 13-3 in his career. 11 of those wins inside the distance, 8 of them by submission. Lost last time out to Jared Brooks, but again, it was on a great run before that. I fought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fights in a row. 3 of them were in one championship. Has fought in Shooto as well, so a very, very good record there. Has been fighting even pretty regularly throughout the pandemic as well. Fought twice in 2021, and obviously fought at the start of this year as well against Jared Brooks. Then Bokang is 8-1 in his career, 6 decisions, but 2 inside the distance. Lost once by submission in his career as well. He also lost to Jared Brooks last time out back in April, but he won his 2 one championship fights before that. He fought a lot in EFC. He's a win over Conor Hignett here, I see, who I would be fairly familiar with, who's a very, very good fighter, fighting out of the UK. He is some very good wins over I believe he beat Darren O'Gorman, who's from Ireland, but he also fought Sam Creasy and Luke Shanks, who the last 2 champions in the 125 pound division over in Cage Warrior. So he's fought Aaron Abbey as well. This guy has, he also has Reece Street and Hayden Sheriff, but we let him go with that one. But the amount of names he has in his ledger are really, really good, and he's a win over him by unanimous decision. That's a good win, and you can call someone a good fighter with those wins, so that should be a fun fight between the 2 of them. One fight I'm really excited about, though, Ariel Sexton against Marat Gafurov. Sexton 13-4, 10 wins by submission, 3 inside the distance, no decisions on his ledger. Been submitted twice in his career, alright. Won his last 2, beat even Roger Huerta before that as well in one championship, and had some very, very good wins. Fought Kamel Chalarus back in 2014. Hasn't been the most active in the world, he hasn't fought since 2019, so he's making a comeback here in this one. He's a very, very good fighter. I'll get to him in a second, but 18-4 then. Marat Gafurov, 12 of his wins as well by submission, so 2 real submission artists here. 5 wins by decision as well. He's been knocked out twice and submitted once. You watch the 2 of them, and Gafurov especially, I'll get to him first. This guy is all submissions. Very good wrestler, strong. I was looking up a few of his fights, and I think it's one championship video that they have up, but they were calling him the Dagestani flying machine or something like that, because he picks guys up and puts them down pretty hard and maybe flies them through the air before he even puts them back down. That's the type of guy he is. Suplexes, big high amplitude takedowns, very, very, your old school Dagestani Russian type of wrestler. He's really, really, really good at that sort of stuff, fighting out of Makachkala, as we know it now. I think everyone in MMA knows the place Makachkala. So a very, very, very good wrestler and a very good jiu-jitsu artist as well. He is the type of guy as well. Sometimes you see wrestlers, and maybe Curtis Blades is a guy we see this weekend. They take a guy down, maybe they try to bang him out of there, but they're not looking for the submission. They're not looking for the finish as much as the control and all of that. Gafurov is not that. He is the opposite of that. And you know what? He gets himself tired as well because of that in the few fights I watched of him. But he is a finisher. He goes for your neck. He goes for arms. He goes for legs, everything like that. He is a guy that will keep going non-stop and try to finish you as much as he possibly can. Now, having said that, his last 2 wins in a row were decisions, but before that he won by let's see some of the different chokes. He's won by arm triangle choke, rear naked choke again. Okay, he's a good few rear naked chokes. Let's be honest there. He's won by triangle choke, arm bar. He's about 7 or 8 wins, I think, by rear naked choke as well. But as I said, they are shared around a little bit too. And if you look at Sexton, then I was really impressed watching him, BJJ black belt. He's a switch stance fighter. I think he's dangerous on the feet, throws these big wild kicks, flying knees and all, but he's very good trips. Like, if there was an advantage on the feet, you know, by looking at the both of them, you would probably have to give it to Sexton, right? But having said that, do you really have an advantage if you're throwing flying kicks against a Dagestani wrestler? Like, let's be honest here. So maybe not in that case. But I think it's going to be a real fun fight. On the ground, Sexton is another guy who's looking for the finish. I called you out their record a minute ago. They are finishers. And he will always look for, and even when guys do take him to the ground, they don't want to stay on the ground with him because they know he's a BJJ black belt and because they know he can finish them at any time. I would look. I think if this turns into, a jiu-jitsu matchup, it could be a fight of the year candidate. Like, genuinely, these two guys are animals on the ground. It could be brilliant. If it turns into a kickboxing match, I think Sexton will have enough for him. Now, I haven't seen an extensive amount of Gafurov on the feet simply because he takes everyone down almost immediately, which is the team for some of the upcoming guys we'll see on this card as well. But I do think it's going to be brilliant on the ground. Sexton is happy off his back. You know, he fights off his back an awful lot in his fights. Let's have a look at some of his submissions and see where he got him up here on Sherdog.com. Rear naked choke, reverse triangle key lock. He submitted someone to punches, rear naked choke. He got that reverse triangle key lock as well. Guillotine, submission with punches, guillotine again, rear naked choke, triangle choke, key lock, heel hook, every sort of thing you can think of. Ariel Sexton can submit you with. So please God, this hits the ground. We want to see a jiu-jitsu match up here. We need to see a jiu-jitsu match up here, and I hope we do. Having said that, on the feet, I think Sexton will do well there. I don't think Gafurov is the sort of guy who will let this fight happen on the feet, honestly. And the fact that Sexton's happy enough to fight on the ground, I think that's where the fight will go. So that's what I plan on seeing here. Now, the next fight is a very exciting one. Now, I looked up some of Zelang and I couldn't really find much of him. He's fighting out of China. He's 16-6 in his career, up here in Sherdog with 10 victories by KO, 3 by submission, 3 by decision as well. He's lost 4 of those fights by decision, so only lost twice inside the distance. This is his second one championship fight. He fought back. Sorry, no, it's not his second one championship fight, but it's second stint maybe in one championship, if you want to put it that way. His last 2 fights were outside of the cage, or outside of the one championship arena. He fought 3 in a row for him before that as well. And you know, he's been fighting around for a good time. He's fought a lot in the WFL promotion. Made his debut back in 2016, and like I say, a long time. What's 2016? 6 years. And he's had 26 fights. So, you know, that's a lot of fights in that time. Maybe he doesn't have the names on his record that stick out to say, like, oh, he's fought this guy, that's how good he is, like some others. There isn't anyone in that record that I'm noticing straight off that will stick out to me like that. So it'll be interesting to see. As I said, I went and tried to find a bit of footage of him. Couldn't find much. But there's plenty of Daniel Williams fighting out of Australia. This guy is an absolute animal of a kickboxer. Just really, really good. Just throws hands non-stop. He fought a road tank there, I believe, recently. That was I actually don't know when it was, but that was one of the bouts I watched preparing for this, and that was just a rock'em sock'em robots. Is that it? Rock'em sock'em? Yeah, just going at it. And that's the type of fighter he is. He hits so hard. He kicks to the body. His MMA fight back in April, I watched it against Namiki Kawara. He got taken down a couple of times in that, and he's literally one of these guys that kind of pushes off, gets back up. Reminds you a little bit of Jose Aldo, the way he just refuses it, gets straight back up. Look, the size and all helps with that. I'm sure fighting at 125 pounds. But this guy is electric. His striking is absolutely immense. Look at his last three KOs in a row before going to decision last time out against Namiki, who got knocked down multiple times in that fight that I watched. I'll be tuning in to see Daniel Williams. I'll put it to you that way. This guy is really, really exciting and a really, really good fighter. Southpaw, I'll say it again, those kicks to the body, the combinations right down through the middle. He's the type of guy you're going in there and you're probably going to be bleeding coming out there, you know. He's a rough fighter and really good, really technical, really strong. Everything you want to see out of a fighter. So don't know much about Zelang, but I'm sure we'll see a lot on the card this weekend. And in the main event, the multiple champion Reinier the Ritter against Vitaly Bigdash. If you don't know Vitaly, he's 12-2 in his career. 10 of those 12 wins inside the distance, 6 submissions and 4 knockouts. He's beaten Anlan Asang twice. He beat him last time out back in February of this year. So some very good wins there. Obviously, you know, they went to a trilogy. He's beaten Magomed Karimov. So that was back in 2015, but still, that's a name there that you cannot take lightly. And if you have that sort of name on your record, you know you're a good fighter. So he absolutely is, and that's a very, very good record there. Now, watching him fight, the first thing you notice is his muscles. He's a big, strong man, fights out of the orthodox position. It's a great clinch, Muay Thai clinch in the middle of the cage as well, throws those big knees up through the middle. Very good wrestler. He's good cardio as well for a guy with, such muscles, and he can keep going late into the fight as well. And I like his style. You know, I'm definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, I'm a fan of his style. Reinier the Ritter then, the Dutch Knight is his nickname, but this man is very much not an old school Dutch kickboxer. He's a wrestler and he's a jiu-jitsu artist now. I was watching one of his fights and they said in the commentary he's been training a lot with Dutch kickboxers. And look, we haven't maybe seen a lot of evidence of that, but if that comes through even more in these fights, I think there's a lot of guys at that weight who'll be very worried about fighting him because he's already a tough prospect. 15-0, 10 by submission, 3 by KO, only 2 inside the distance. You know, he's beaten Anlan Asang as well, twice at 2 different weight classes for 2 different titles. He's, fought. I watched a bit of his fight against Leandro Atides, and that was a tough fight, and he came through that one. Ended up getting the decision there. And he's been around for a good while now as well. Made his debut back in 2013. So, I think he took, was it Andre Galvao? He took on in a jiu-jitsu matchup as well recently. So, this guy, he can do it all, really. As I said, if I had to describe his game, I would say he's a very strong wrestler, southpaw, kickboxer. He loves the body lock to get you down, push you against the cage, body locks you, trips you, takes you down. Whereas, Bigdash is more of a wrestler maybe in the middle of the cage and take you down that way. Although he has a very good clinch as well. He mostly strikes out of the clinch, though, I would say. But for Reinier, his elbows when the fight gets to the ground are absolutely ferocious. Another guy, if you go in there and fight with, you're probably getting hurt. He's not the type of guy to hold back. He's not the type of guy to to give you an easy night in there. And I'm sure it won't be for either guy. Now, the one integer I would think will decide this, and look, it's not rocket science for me. If you've gone back and watched much of either of both of these guys, you'll probably know it's the wrestling. Like, who is going to win that wrestling matchup between the two of these guys? Nobody is able to being able to get close to Reinier the Ritter. And watching his last fight against Karyam Abasov, I watched a bit of him before that, Abasov, and he's a very good wrestler too. And he just wasn't able to live with Reinier the Ritter. He's so big and strong for that division as well. It's almost, it's like men against boys sometimes. He's 6'4", which obviously is very tall and very big. 6 foot for Bigdash as well. So, it's going to be tough. He's fighting off, that Akhmat fight team, and we know the bad parts of that, but we also know the very, very good fighters they have in that team as well, and the absolute beasts of wrestlers. So he'll have no shortage of opponents to take on, shall we say, to mimic Reinier the Ritter and exactly what he can do. So if there is one, guy who'll be prepared, I'm sure it will be him. I'd be interested to see if Bigdash can stop him taking him down. what is that going to look like? I think he could win on the feet, honestly. I think the Ritter is not the best striker in the world. Now, I don't know if Bigdash is either. I think his striking looks better. I won't lie, but I don't think he is an amazing striker or anything like that. But I do think in the clinch, if Vitaly Bigdash can get the fight into the clinch, land some of those knees, even knees to the body, and stop any of the Ritter taking him down from there. Now, not necessarily get it to the clinch, but if it goes to the clinch, stop him getting the takedown there. I think that could be like one of those knees is going to land on someone and knock him out pretty soon. Those knees are legitimate fight enders. So I think the Ritter's going to have to be very, very careful there, and don't play that game too much. But having said that, I do think I do think he will be able to get the fight to the ground and will probably be able to win it there. But it's by no means a given. I actually think it's a very good fight, and it's a very intriguing matchup when you have two very good wrestlers taking each other on, and you have a champion whom, to me, is not as good of a striker as Vitaly Bigdash, the challenger, coming in here. So, very interesting matchup, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'll give you my picks, actually, for the 7 MMA fights here. Why not? I'm going to go with the Ritter to win that one. I'm going to go for Bokang to win. I think I'll definitely pick Daniel Williams to get the knockout there. Sexton versus Gafurov is an interesting fight. I'm not sure who the favourite is for that one, but maybe the odds are up here. I'll just have a quick look before we get into it. But that's going to be a very, very interesting and very close fight as well. I would say I don't think the odds are actually up, so we'll leave that. But who'll I go for? I'll go for. Do you know what? I'll go for Gafurov. I think his game might be a little bit more dominant and he might be able to get a submission. But if he doesn't get a submission, no, I'm changing my mind. I'm going for Sexton. I think he'll be able to keep it on the feet for a while and win the fight there. I'll go for De Silva to win. I'll go for Anderson Silva to win as well. Why not? And I will go for Bano to win against Bivins on her debut. All right, I will leave it there. Thank you to everybody for watching. Check out One Championships 159th card this week. There's some great stuff coming up. Obviously, the return of the legend Demetrius and all is coming up pretty soon. Is that 160 or one? I think it's 161 actually. That card. There is 160 coming up as well at the end of August. So yeah, it is. They're both on the same weekend. They're my god mad. The 26th and 27th of August, yeah, so that 161 card is going to be really, really good. The rematch between Demetrius Johnson and Adriana Marat, so check that one out as well, and I will leave it there. My name is Sheehan for Sherdog.com, and we'll see you all next time.